everyone. My name is Daniel Chung. I'm one of the owners here at Rooted in the 510 Dispensary and Entertainment Consumption Lounge. We're a new equity dispensary based here in North Oakland, in the Temescal neighborhood of Oakland. And we just opened up on 4/20 of this year. So we're just under, just a little under 3 months being open. It's been a blast and a wild ride over the last 3 years to get to this point. And I'm just glad to be able to share my experiences with everyone here today. So we are an equity dispensary. What that means is the city of Oakland identified individuals who've been affected by the hardship or the war on drugs. They've lived in neighborhoods that have been over-policed, or they've had unfair charges against them. So they created an equity program. A lot of other cities across America have started to do that too, from LA to New York. And Oakland was one of the first ones in the country. And there was a lottery process. So, people, you have to apply, you have to get, it's kind of a funny story, because when they did the lottery, they did a reverse lottery. So they picked ping pong balls out. And then the first few people thought they won, but they were actually people that got eliminated first. So they were like, happy for a split second, and then they were like really sad or whatever. And then they made everybody sit there throughout the whole lottery process. And my partner, Ricky, he was our equity candidate at that time, an applicant. And he was one of the lucky winners at the very end of it, And then from there, a little background on myself and Ricky too. My partner, Ricky, and I, we both worked at a Harborside Health Center here at Oakland for a long time, under Steve DeAngelo and Dave Wedding Dress. And Ricky was there for over a decade. I was there for just under. And pretty much, we both did everything. We started off as bud tenders and sales associates, worked our way up through management ranks. And Ricky spearheaded the clones and genetics department. So he was working with a lot of vendors on seeds and clones. And, Harborside was the spot back in the day, from about 2011 to about 2016. If you're a grower or if you're a vendor, Harborside was the spot. And myself too, I went into the more administrative side of things, worked with dress and worked with management on, more higher level stuff. And then from there, I went to join a company called TerraTech. They have a dispensary called Bloom. And then from there, I was doing procurement and doing some higher level stuff there, cannabis wise. Learned a lot because they were a publicly traded company. Harborside at that time was, old school medical club. So it's just two different worlds. And then they both kind of prepared both me and Ricky for this new recreational world, I suppose, And yeah, that's kind of the origins. We were working together as bud tenders for, coworkers for, a long time, 9 years together. And we always talked about it, hey, one day, right? Maybe if we get an opportunity, if someone gives us a chance, we would do it. We'd do it right. Not to knock anybody else, but, we had our own ideas and our own thoughts. And lo and behold, 5-6 years after we were joking about it, we had an opportunity. And from there, we found the right capital partners, which took us a long time. We traveled across the country, interviewed with over 30 different groups, Canadian money to local money, and then we were very fortunate to team up with a very wonderful group out of San Diego called McKinney Capital. They're generally a real estate company. They do, big hotels and stuff, but Damien, the CEO and owner over there, we liked his values, we liked what he was about. And one thing we learned during that process is there's a lot of money out there, but it's finding the right money, the right people to work with, the right morals, right ethics, right goals. So that's why it took us such a long time to take advantage of this license. We didn't rush into it. A lot of the other candidates that won at that time, they teamed up with other big companies right away and opened up a little bit before us, but during our process, we were able to keep our identity, keep control of the business, and it was a great opportunity We bought the building here in 2018 here in Temescal. Uh, we we are based in North Oakland, so basically we're like North Oakland, South Berkeley. You see, Berkeley is only like 10 minutes up the street on Telegraph. Downtown Oakland is only 10 minutes down the street on Telegraph. We're surrounded by tons of residential, and we have a great neighborhood. Tons of restaurants, over 80 restaurants, breweries, bars, with a Whole Foods and a BART station. So we couldn't have asked for a better spot to move into. And then, we bought the building in 2018, spent a year going through, permitting, applications, getting ready to do constructions, designs. And COVID hit and everything went on pause. We were like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to the world, let alone open the dispensary. And then, thank God we all got through it. And then we started construction in February of 2021. And then, we had a great construction company team called Murray. They're a national team, and they built it all out for us. Around December, we were done with construction. And then that's when we officially got our license from the BCC at that time. They weren't quite the DCC yet. And then from there, we just had a couple of other little delays. We of course, hiring was a little bit of a challenge. There was still a lot of like shipping issues. So we were just getting like our computers and stuff like that took forever, or getting like certain security lights and security gates. They were stuck on a boat for months at a time, and when it was all said and done, we were ready to open up by 420. So we had our soft opening that day, which people were like, why'd you pick that day? And I was like, well, what a better day, right? Everyone's out that day anyways. Let's get a baptism by fire, as they say, And it was amazing. We had zero marketing, zero advertising. We literally just opened the doors, and then the neighborhood came in. We had a couple hundred. We were surprised at how many people came in. Like, I want to say almost like 400 or 500 people walked in that day, just off the streets, And then from there, we already knew we were onto something really good. And then before I go any further, just to explain more about what we're doing here, we're a live entertainment consumption dispensary. So what that means is, right now we have 4,000 square feet of beautiful retail. You can order through kiosks with bud tenders on your phone, online. Everything's displayed out for you to check out and look at. But more than 7,000 square feet of our business and building is dedicated for live entertainment and consumption. So we're going to have a beautiful cannabis bar, where you can order product, you can get drinks and pre-rolls, and we'll even have mocktails, hopefully terpene infused. We'll have a center stage where we can have comedians and musicians and any type of live entertainment, really. And the whole time growing up, Oakland, super liberal. People smoke at bars and on the streets and stuff all the time, right? But outside of Oakland and San Francisco, there's nowhere for people to like go hang out. If you're a cannabis person, you got to smoke in the parking lot. You got to go outside around the corner. You get brave and they might hit a vape pen like somewhere, right? But then for us, we're like, look, let's get a place where the community can get together. We can have fun. People can try different products and, listen to music. And, that's kind of the idea that we had when we created the project, when we went down it. And, even our whole name, we named it Rooted in the 510, because the 510, we're more than Oakland too, yes, I've been in Oakland for the last maybe 25 years, but I also spent some time in Fremont, lived a little bit in Hayward when I was really young. But, I'm an East Bay guy. And, generally speaking, if you live in the East Bay, you don't really go into San Francisco. Too much traffic and parking, and, you don't need any of that, right? So, same with Ricky. He's born and raised here in Oakland. He grew up in East Oakland, and currently his sister and his mom still live over there. And he lives up over near North Oakland here. So it was important for us to keep it real, what we're about, and, Oakland or East Bay. It's a different scene, a different vibe, and we're proud to represent it over here, And it was just funny too. There's a newspaper called the Oakland Side, and they did an article on the 510, the meaning of the 510, and all the history involved with it. And they had our picture on the front of the article, and we are just like super like, honored to be on there. But just to fast forward now too, so we had our soft opening, and we were gonna have our grand opening on June 8th. So about a little bit a month after working out the kinks, right? And we successfully pulled it off. But before that, 2 days before our grand opening, we had a burglar incident, and it was very common in the industry. Oakland, San Francisco, Sacramento, San Jose, it doesn't matter. It happens everywhere. And in our case, we're on a very popular street called Telegraph. We have a 24-hour Jack in the Box across the street. It was like full of people. But then still, at 3:30 in the morning, a group of young men stole a U-Haul cargo van and used it as a battering ram to slam into our front door, knocking over the light poles, knocking over, trash cans. It was a big van, so it was just smashing everything. And it took multiple attempts to get in. And then they knocked the frame down off my entire front of the building. And we have a huge steel frame that's anchored into the ground, but they rammed it down. And then about a dozen of them ran in. We keep everything locked up in the vault tight. There's not much to take, you know what I mean? But still, the displays or whatever, they went through what they did. And then when OPD came, they arrived. And then the individuals were able to escape. And what we learned later on too is that OPD has a no chase policy, and this is like a violent crime, And then, it's just unfortunate because they couldn't do anything if they wanted to, right? And then it's unfortunate because the bad guys might do it again to somebody else. And we have an armed guard at night outside. And then, he's been accosted a few times by, individuals, and it's tough. We're able to have the resources right now to combat this and to rebuild and stuff like that. But I know a lot of my other peers, they don't have those resources. I know, without getting specific, I know a dispensary that closed recently here locally because they kept getting hit and they could not come back, and insurance companies, they like to take their due process, which I'm learning myself. And everyone's been super supportive. It's the system, right? It's just the system in place. But yeah, we had that break-in incident. It was a little scary because, I live around the corner. So I came down at 3:30 in the morning, the cops were there, and then the cops were going to leave. And I was like, what do you want me to do? There's a giant hole in front of my door, and bad guys might come back, right? And the cop looked at me and he told me, lightning does strike twice in this industry. And it's scary because you're standing there in the middle, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, in downtown, in the middle of Oakland, in front of a building with no front frame protecting the rest of your product and your building and your TVs and laptops and all that, right? And luckily, Ricky came down. He lives 10 minutes further than me, so he came down pretty quick. But we ended up standing there, ready to /run /call who knows, right? Survive. That was the thing I told Rick. I was like, look, you ever see like in all those horror films and movies, you just got to stay alive till sunrise. Once the sun comes up, I think we'll be okay. I Am Legend, 28 Days Later, you name it, So we were literally standing there. The sun came up at 6:05. I remember looking at my clock, and we took a sigh of relief. We're like, okay. People started coming out. Joggers started coming out. You know what I mean? Workers started coming out to commute. So right when the sun came out, I just remember, I'll never forget this until I die. It was a sense of relief. You know what I mean? So anyways, after that incident happened, we had a big event for our grand opening. We decided to do a Hall of Flower style event where we invited over 20 of the biggest brands and partners in the industry to set up tents and tables and booths. And we had them all lined up in our parking lot. And we did it to coincide with the Temescal Street Fair, which is an annual street fair we have here in our neighborhood. We shut down 40th to 51st. We have 3 stages with music. We have vendors and booths and food and everybody outside, right? And the event saw about 10,000 people come through. We estimate we saw about 3,000 people come through our parking lot alone. You know, meet all the vendors, get educated, get some free swag, and then in our store too. You know, everybody came in to check it out. So it was a crazy day. We couldn't have asked for a better reception from, you know, the neighborhood and the community. Same with our brand partners. You know, they really showed out, and a lot of people donated products to us once they heard about the incident. You know, so shout out to, you know, companies like 7 Leagues. You know, companies like SOG. You know, and even, you know, the list goes on. Right? But then once they heard what happened, they're like, check it out. Here's a couple cases just to help you get back on your feet. So stuff like that really means a lot. You know what I mean? And then, yeah, you know, all the vendors and all the neighborhood, they're like, hey, you guys gonna do this every week? I was like, hell yeah, we're gonna do this every week. You know, we're gonna try to, but hopefully with the entertainment lounge, once we finish construction by end of the year, hopefully we can host events like this every week, you know, whether it's one brand or several brands, whether it's cannabis dinners and pairings and strain releases and educations, demos. You know, we want to make sure we take care of our seniors and give them a place to come learn and congregate, learn about wellness products, take care of our veterans, give them a place to, you know, meet. One of my good friends, Ryan Miller, he has a group called Operation EVAC, educating veterans about cannabis. And, you know, once a month they meet up, and it's about 40 of them. They meet up in a wide range of, you know, stuff that veterans go through, right? You know, the list is long, and we thank them for their service, you know. And they lost their most recent place to meet up due to closures, due to break-ins at that spot. So we're more than glad to offer like our space to people like him and his group and other like groups that we can support, you know. We're really trying to make it a community area. People always ask us, like, you're gonna charge admission, you're gonna like do this and that. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like, it kind of takes away the whole point of like why we're creating this, right? Everyone kind of forgets the compassionate part of like our industry and like where we all started from, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's just a trip like that. And we're just working every day, you know, we're trying to get the plan submitted, get the mill work going. You know, most of the heavy lifting over there is done from when we did the dispensary build out. So like, you know, earthquake reinforcement, a lot of the sprinkler work. So really, you know, if things go well, hopefully by end of the year is kind of what we're hoping for. Maybe we'll have a New Year's party in there, you know, who knows. And, you know, some of the things that I'm looking forward to over there, of course, because it's like we're gonna have a nice bar, right? It'll be like a real bar, just minus the alcohol. So, you know, we have tons of brands that want to, you know, have their bottles on the shelf and, you know, their coolers on there, their refrigerators. And I love it. I'm all about it, right? And just you know, a couple of brands that jump out to my head. Pabst Blue Ribbon, you know, a lot of people know the beer, but those guys, you know, they came out and made a seltzer, a 10 milligram seltzer, and it's so refreshing. It's one of the ones that I kind of like to keep around my house too. There's some stuff I haven't tried yet that I'm interested in trying, like Jones sodas came out into the game. Not Your Dad's Average Root Beer came out with the drink. So it's just interesting to see all these like mainstream like drink companies kind of like create these like drinks and stuff, right? And then, you know, maybe when we create a lounge, it'll like kind of take off, because that's what the regular world is used to, right? They go to a bar, they like order a drink at the bar, or get drinks at the table or whatever, right? But yeah, our entertainment consumption lounge, though, we're gonna have a combustion section. So we're dedicating a large portion of it to ceiling high glass with tables and booths, and you can go in there and you can roll up non-tobacco and you can smoke. The rest of the building, though, we're gonna allow, you know, vaping, edibles, dabbing, volcano bags. You know, we'll have, you know, for safety purposes too, with COVID and all that, you know, we're going through a lot of thought and care into how we're keeping everyone safe, from the filters to the airflow, all that, right? We got engineers and people who are like helping us on that end. And yeah, I'm just kind of excited for it to finally come to fruition. I tell people only about half our business is open right now. And yeah, we've been getting a lot of reception from media and stuff like that. People have been hearing about us, and we're very thankful. Every little bit helps as a new business. One of the bigger ones, shout out to Architecture Digest. They did a little piece on us. 12 most stylish dispensaries in the U.S. and then we were on that list. Yeah, just shout out to SF Chronicle. Shout out to you guys. Everybody, helping us out. So yeah, I'd love to invite everyone to come join us for our celebration when we open. Our address is 4444 Telegraph Avenue in Oakland. So once again, it's just 4 4s Telegraph, or look us up, Rooted in the 510 Dispensary and Lounge. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you.